All right, let's dive right into this explainer and completely disrupt everything you thought you knew about manifestation. If you've ever been frustrated by that mainstream advice, just think positive thoughts or vibrate higher, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're moving way past mystical wishes and digging straight into the actual neuroscience of your brain. We're going to look at how the law of attraction really works, not through magic, but through the literal biological programming of your nervous system.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the manifestation myth, move into cause versus causing effect, explore the hard science of the reticular activating system, learn exactly how to rewire your self-image, and wrap up by uncovering your emotional why.
So let's jump right into part 1, the manifestation myth.
Let's start by totally tearing down a massive myth pushed by a lot of modern life coaches. This idea that you simply attract what you want, or even that newer theory that you attract what you become. It sounds amazing on a bumper sticker, right? But biologically speaking, it's just not true. The absolute most crucial point to understand from the source material is this. You don't get what you wish for. You get exactly what your nervous system is capable of holding without rejecting it. If your subconscious mind was programmed early on to fear wealth or to instantly associate success with overwhelming stress, your nervous system is going to actively repel those things, and it doesn't matter how much you consciously say you want them.
And this honestly brilliantly illustrates why vision boards are fundamentally flawed. Think about it. A mother doesn't need a vision board pasted with pictures of healthy kids to care for her sick child. If her child has 104-degree fever, she doesn't need to look at a pretty collage to feel motivated. Her nervous system is already so deeply programmed to react that it wakes her up in the middle of the night instantly. Now that is true subconscious programming. Vision boards, on the other hand, well, they're mostly just surface-level conscious wishes that rarely ever penetrate that deep neural network.
Moving on to part 2, cause versus causing effect.
Now, this idea completely shifts our entire understanding of how results are actually generated in our lives. The source highlights a really sharp contrast between the Newtonian, classical world and the quantum world. In the classical world, we operate strictly on cause and effect, right? It's physics, it's grinding, it's doing things with physical struggle to hopefully get a result, like if I work 10 years, I'll get money. But honestly, this rule is failing us. Instead, we need to look at the quantum world, where you actually cause the effect internally before you ever take physical action. You literally collapse the wave of possibility by living the end result in your mind first.
Think of it this way. When a house is being built, you see the laborers doing all the physical work. But did the laborers truly create the house? No, absolutely not. The house was truly built the very moment the architect caused the effect in their mind. The physical laborers merely execute the physical cause and effect, but the true origin was that internal thought. If you want to manifest, you have to be the architect of your mind, not just the laborer of your body.
All right, part 3, the reticular activating system.
Let's get into the actual biological engine driving this whole process and see how this builds from a fun conceptual metaphor into hard science. Meet your reticular activating system, or the RAS. These are specialized cells located right near your brainstem. The RAS, alongside your frontal lobe, is what literally filters your reality. Once your subconscious is programmed, your RAS acts like a heat-seeking missile, constantly looking for opportunities, resources, and paths that match that internal programming. It filters out millions of bits of data every second, so you only see exactly what aligns with your deeply held beliefs.
Try this sensory technique right now to prove exactly how this works. Vividly imagine your absolute favorite food right now. Maybe it's a super juicy burger or a steaming bowl of warm noodles. What happens? Your mouth literally starts to water. Now, imagine there is a deadly venomous cobra loose in the room with you right this second. Your heart rate instantly spikes, doesn't it? Your body reacts physically, completely proving that your nervous system genuinely does not know the difference between a real scenario and a deeply imagined one.
So the absolutely crucial point here is how we use this to our advantage. To successfully program your RAS for success, you have to visualize your end goal so deeply that you lose track of 3 specific things: time, space, and your physical body. You have to immerse yourself in the emotional reality of your goal, actually feeling the gratitude, seeing the reactions of your loved ones, until it feels like an absolute certainty. When your body experiences those emotions for real, it accepts the future as a current reality, and that is when your RAS goes to work.
Which brings us to part 4, rewiring your self-image. Okay, so how do we practically rewire these deeply held and often super limiting self-images? It's one thing to know you have an RAS, but how do we change the actual data we're feeding it? Well, the source provides a really powerful neurolinguistic programming, or NLP, exercise you can try right now. Visualize rich, successful people in your mind's eye. Notice where they are, how bright the colors are, how confidently they stand. Okay, now, visualize yourself. Do you notice the massive subconscious gap between those two images? Maybe you see yourself as smaller or standing in a duller, completely different location. To fix this, you mentally Photoshop yourself into their reality. You literally animate yourself into their scene, matching their colors, their posture, their environment, and you hold that image until your subconscious finally accepts that you belong there.
Also, we've got to avoid a huge manifestation trap here. Stop looking for those generic signs like 111 or 222. Instead, test your newly programmed RAS using what's called directed synchronicity. Give your subconscious a highly specific, totally random metaphor. Ask your mind to show you the number 935, or maybe a white duck. Once you lock that specific image in, just watch how your brain suddenly spots a 935 on a random restaurant bill, or you happen to see a white duck logo on a passing truck. It completely proves that your RAS is actively filtering the real world based on your precise instructions.
Finally, Part 5. Finding your emotional why. Let's dive into the absolute last piece of the puzzle, the emotional why that finally overrides all our logical excuses. Because listen, without this, all the mental photoshopping in the world just isn't going to sustain you. Consider this incredible story from the source about a man who smoked heavily for 38 years. He tried quitting for decades using pure willpower, and he always failed. But he quit instantly, without a single withdrawal symptom, the very day his 9-year-old daughter angrily threw his cigarette away and demanded he survive long enough to walk her down the aisle at her wedding. The raw pain of missing that moment completely rewired his nervous system in a split second.
Without a deeply emotional why like that father had, you're always going to hide behind what we call procrastination shields. You know the ones. You'll say, well, I just don't have enough time, or you'll claim, oh, they only succeeded because they had rich parents, or you'll just blame your age or your genetics. Listen, these aren't realities. They are literally just excuses designed to protect your current, comfortable identity from the hard work of actual change. It's exactly like that old joke mentioned in the source about a man complaining bitterly that he's suffocating inside a tiny jail cell. He cries and cries for help, but the exact moment the police open the door and tell him he's completely free to walk out, he refuses to leave. He actually prefers the lockup because, even though it's absolutely miserable, it's a misery he understands.
There's a harsh but incredibly profound saying, hell has its own fun because you built it. Moving into success or health requires taking total responsibility and stepping into a completely unknown world, and frankly, that terrifies an unprogrammed nervous system. People will often prefer to stay stuck in their own suffering, illness, and poverty quite simply because it is a familiar world that they know exactly how to survive in. So the ultimate question you need to take away from this explainer is this: are you going to keep waiting for the external world to magically change to accommodate you? Or are you finally ready to take responsibility and program your own nervous system? The tools are literally right there in your biology, just waiting for you to become the architect. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will leave you to think on that.